How's it, guys? This is Davey, FPL, and welcome back to the live stream slash sort of video. I'm probably going to keep this on the video track, so if you guys are watching this after the live stream, you basically just go through the drafts and see if any was similar to you. But if for those of you joining the live stream, thanks for joining me on this Saturday, sort of mid-afternoon or kind of early afternoon, late morning. I'm just getting you guys in preparation for these deadlines because they're usually going to be on the Saturday morning slash afternoons. I know game week 1 isn't there, it's on the Friday. So just a reminder for there if you guys don't know about that Friday night deadline. But we're just getting you guys prepared also for myself. Just let me know if the audio and the video are sounding Gucci as always, because this is also preparation for me for those deadline streams that we'll be doing this season. So thanks for joining me, those of you in chat. I know it's a bit of an awkward time. Don't want to focus your weekends on FPL if you guys don't have to, and I completely understand that. So if you guys are checking this on the replay, just go through the video as I said, pick part the kind of relevant information for you guys, and hopefully there's a draft that we go over that might be quite similar to yours. So on screen right now you guys see my latest draft. This might be slightly different to the one that I posted I think on Thursday morning, but I think the majority of it is looking okay. I think the only thing that I have changed since then is maybe the 4.5 rotation pair defenders, but that's not a big deal at the end of the day. Also, some news has dropped. We have Cole out injured with an ACL. So is Sanchez now still the best keeper? I think that Chelsea defense might be slightly worse. We also have some news about a potential Rodgers injury, although it looks like a minor one. And then we also have some new signings. So is Neco Williams now going to be under competition from Davis, as Nottingham Forest have just bid for him apparently this morning? So a lot of news is dropping. There's a ton of preseason games coming up this weekend. Community Shield dropping tomorrow, Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. So a ton of information between now and that game week 1 deadline. But just to give you guys in an initial kind of final draft view, I'll be going over your guys' drafts and as well as your potential chip strategies and just giving you my insights. I don't really like these videos. I kind of feel like everyone's draft is different. That's how it should be. If I'm going to review your draft and just mold it to my vision, then all of us are going to have the same draft. So I'm not going to be too kind of critical if you guys have a very out there strategy. Over on the Discord server, there have been some wild strategies, some big at the backs, some one striker formations. So I'm pretty open to anything at the end of the day. So you guys just can post your drafts and your chip strategy if you can, and I'll be posting a tweet shortly that you guys can just reply to. So thanks, Lisa. Darth is in chat. I hope that you do like that there's apparently sort of rankings of viewers at the moment. So we do have kind of top fans. So we have a few in chat. We have Siddharth and Tracy here. So thanks for joining, guys. I'm just going to pop the chat up. And also, I want to review your guys in chat's drafts because you're the ones that I'm going to interact with. So I saw Victoria's Secret, you posted your draft, so I'll pick that one up over on Twitter, but I'll be posting another tweet shortly that you guys can just reply to. But thanks for all joining, as mentioned. Let me get over to my profile, and I'm just going to say, what should we tweet? Drafts, please. Okay, we're going to post this. So you guys, I'll post the let me just copy the link. So this is the tweet that you guys can click on, and you can post your drafts underneath there. And what I would also ask you to do is, if you are planning to kind of bench boost in game week 1 or 2, just also let me know what your chip strategy is at the moment. If you don't have one, that's perfectly fine. I think that I don't really have a strategy at the moment. I think next week I'll probably clarify more what I'm thinking. But if you guys just give me enough information as possible, and that will allow me to get kind of the full picture of your FPL draft. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hop over to Fantasy Football Hub. Now, no, I'm not sponsored, so I'm not affiliated with any sort of FPL website this preseason. So this is just purely because they do have a nice little tool that allows you to import your team from a screenshot. So the teams that I'm going to start off with are going to be 2 teams actually from Legend members. I asked for some Legend member drafts slightly earlier on. So this is going to be the first draft that was recommended. So both of these 2 drafts, one is from T and one is from Siddharth. They both don't have sort of chip strategy plans at the moment. So let's go over this draft first. Let's just check that it's all in order. 0.0 in the bank. This team does look pretty okay. Let me just check what lineup he also went for. Okay, so it was just obviously Ollie Watkins instead of Mark Guay. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce that, but it's a little bit, I think my pronunciation's a little bit off there. And then Anderson was on the bench. Okay, so this pretty much looks like the lineup. So overall, I think this sort of formation does look more big at the back, I would say. And feel free to post your guys' thoughts as we do go along. That's always helpful. Okay, so this draft does look slightly more big at the back. As mentioned, will Nottingham Forest sign a new potential left back with Davis from Ipswich? I think that's going to lead to some competition for Neco Williams. He is flexible, can play on the left and the right, so that will just be something that I monitor. With Aitnori, this might have been a selection based on the fact that apparently Guardiola is not fully fit. So I don't mind the selection, but as with any Man City selections besides Haaland, there's going to be rotation. If you prepared for that, then that's 100%. I also think Sanchez at the moment, I do still like him. I'm just a little bit wary of where there could be some potential. I don't really know how much of an impact Cole had, but I definitely think he was probably their best defender. They have some new signings. I think they're going to fit kind of straight in there, but maybe dropping Sanchez might be slightly better. But the problem there that lies is now Keller has apparently picked up a knock, and Petrovic, Bournemouth have basically sold every single defender that they owned. So I think both those 4.5s at the moment are looking that great. So what I might suggest is maybe going for Sells instead of Sanchez, and then either dropping Neco Williams, upgrading another position, or what you could do is, if you're still stuck on Aitnori, which I think is okay, downgrade Mikolenko to a 4.5. I don't think there's much upside between Mikolenko and a 4.5 at the moment. And then upgrade Neco Williams to someone like a Murillo or a Milinkovic. I think that looks pretty okay. Also with Rodgers, this is a wait and see, because if Rodgers is okay, he should be fine. But if he's not, you can simply just downgrade him or upgrade him to another position. In terms of your forwards, I mean, there's no complaints there. There might be some rotation with João Pedro, but with Jackson out of the picture, which it seems like might happen. I still feel like he'll be nailed. Scored yesterday in the preseason friendly. I think overall the team structure does look good. And I do like this sort of more taking advantage of the sort of big at the back. But I think if I was to go big at the back, I probably would focus more on these defensive contributions. And that's why I would maybe upgrade Mikolenko or downgrade him and then just get a better sort of balanced defense. Because I feel like the real value at 5.0 and below, even above, is with these defensive contributions. So don't forget about that. But I like Saad 6.5. Between him and Ndiaye, they're my favorite two sort of 6.5s. And as I said with Rodgers, just see if he's kind of okay. But not too much wrong with the structure. And because you don't have a sort of chip strategy bench boost 1, game week 2, I think your cheap bench is probably the budget bench that I would look at. So thanks for submitting that. As mentioned, that was from T. I asked on Discord if they wanted a specific name besides their Discord name. They can let me know, but T didn't let me know anyone. So I'm just going to go on to the second draft quickly here. This is from Siddharth. So thank you for submitting this one, Siddharth, and you are in chat. So let's actually get a nice reaction to your draft. Okay, so the one thing that I've noticed is that sometimes it doesn't pick up the exact team. So I'm just going to sub in Mark. Well, let me just check here. Okay, it's not letting me do that. I don't know why. Let me just refresh this and see if it kind of reloads. I saw someone said, pause big at the back. That is exactly how we like our FPL drafts. I'm not going to lie. Can insert the peach emoji there as well. Okay, so let's just try this one again. As mentioned, it's not the most seamless process, but this is the only way I've been able to import players from a draft. Okay, cool. So now it works. Let's just make these transfers and save the plan. And then I'm just going to, Siddharth, you just posted your sort of starting 11 or your actual transfer page. So I'm going to just do some work here to see if I can kind of predict what you would do. So the only thing I don't know is if you would play Anderson or if you would play Wan-Bissaka or Mikalenko. That's the only thing I wouldn't. But this draft looks pretty similar. The only thing with Gabriel is, as has been spoken about on Twitter, he hasn't actually played a preseason game as far as I know. So he was on the bench for the last one, but I might just suggest maybe going for someone else. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, as I don't really like the Arsenal fixtures that much anyway. So what you could do here is you could downgrade Gabriel to someone like a Murillo, then you can upgrade Mikalenko to Tarkowski, because he's an absolute beast for those defensive contributions. So that's probably the first thing I would maybe suggest. Chris Wood, I like Chris Wood, but as you know, I'm not the biggest fan of Chris Wood, mainly because he absolutely destroyed my rank last season. The only thing with him is that Forest haven't been great in preseason from a scoring point of view. So defensively, they look pretty good, but they're not scoring goals. And I always say, how long is Chris Wood going to convert that XG overperformance? I mean, if he does, great, but I also would say that maybe that's the only position I might look elsewhere. But at the moment, which strikers do you look at? The striker department is so dire that I don't even know if I can really bash going for Chris Wood and Ollie Watkins that much. So I'm fine with it. The fixtures are okay. I would just say that Forest, I would have liked to have seen a bit more out of the attacking department. And with obviously them losing some attacking options, I don't even know if they're going to be able to replicate the form of last season. So that's the only thing that I would say. But the only big sort of, I wouldn't say problem, but where I would maybe change some funds is in your defensive department. But otherwise, I mean, the benches, basically Dubravka, Esteve, and Mark Gay are the options that you sort of look at for your cheap options. And then Anderson and your 4.5, maybe Wan-Bissaka, can just rotate whoever has the better fixture. But overall, I like the structure. I think the pick that has gone under the radar is probably Gakpo. And the reason I've kept him for last is because let's see how he performs tomorrow. I think if Gakpo looks good against Palace, he might be a massive bandwagon. If you guys haven't watched my midfielder review video, I'll probably post those graphics, sorry, I forgot, over on Twitter later today. But Gakpo's numbers and Luis Diaz's numbers, both of them are pretty interchangeable at left wing. Their numbers are outstanding. So if Gakpo can really nail down left wing, if Ekitike plays up front, Isaac doesn't sign, I think Gakpo's first choice at left wing, and he could just be absolute great value there. And as mentioned, his stats look pretty strong. Also gets a few defensive contributions, not a ton, but he does get the odd defensive contribution point. So I do like him. I do like him at 7.5, but as mentioned, let's just see how they set up tomorrow against Palace, but a very differential selection. I do like that one. So I'm just going to check. We don't have any other drafts here on Discord, so I think let's switch over to some of those Twitter. And I just hope that you guys are in the chat. So I'm just going to bring up, because I know Tracy's here, so I'm just going to save this graph. Okay, cool. And then I saw Victoria's Secret was also here, but I think you were on the previous. So let me just bring that one up from the notifications. Okay, cool. Let's save this one as well. Secret. Okay, cool. So now that we have those drafts, let me just go over and reset the team. Just checking chat quick. Are there any? When do you want to play the bench boost? So him at the moment, I don't really have a strategy for the bench boost, but what I will tell you is that I'm slightly leaning towards late in the season. I don't think game week 1 and 2 look that great to me, but what I'm going to do now this weekend is I'm going to plan a lot. I think the drafting perspective is usually just your sort of actual team, but my team selection is going to be everything. So it's going to be my chip strategy. It's going to be my actual team selection, all that good stuff. I just haven't put too much thought into it, but also that's why I'm leaning towards maybe late in the season, because I just don't see myself wanting to bench boost newly promoted squads that much. I think if you're going to do it on newly promoted players, I think early in the season's better because they're playing better football. And what you'll generally see with your relegation squads is that they sort of look good at the start of the season, then they sort of peter out as the season goes by, and then we have that relegation scrap at the end of the season as always. So I think the best time to do that is probably early on, but I just don't know if I'm that fond of it. So I would say probably like 60, 40, 70, 30 towards using it a bit later. Okay, cool. But we've got some discussion over in the chat. I'm liking that you guys are sort of discussing your drafts as we go along. So let's load up the next one. This is going to be from Tracy. Let's just see. Did you have 1 mil in the bank? Let me just go over and check if this team is actually the one that we see on screen. Okay, so Dubravka, Kinski. Okay, so maybe that's why you've got the money in the bank. Van der Ven, Milinkovic, Goodmanson, Esteve. Okay, so your midfield department looks very different. Okay, so you got Rodrigo, but you don't have Jolington. This is meant to be Rogers. And in the forward department, you've got Haaland and Bowen. Okay, I see what you've done here. Okay, and then Mark Gay. Okay, so Tracy, let me know. I think this is the team, but just let me know if there's any major missions that I have done. So the first point is Rodrigo. So sub Rodrigo out as of now. You can go for someone else like a Reinders from Man City, but Rodrigo picked up a knock in the preseason or the Club World Cup. Okay, so you've said Rodrigo will be removed. I need to upgrade Kinski to 4.5 and 2 is a bit risky. Okay, cool. So you've already listed that, so do apologize for not reading that information. You're probably screaming at me in chat already. But maybe we can help you with that selection. I think if you're still keen for the 6.5 sort of DEFCON midfielder, I think there are a few other selections that you can look at, and maybe we can go over some of those now. Let me just make sure that your team is looking up to scratch. I think you subbed out Esteve. So yeah, a good old 3-5-2. So you have to upgrade Kinski. If you're not looking to bench boost, and we get news that Dubravka is fit, you could keep Dubravka. I mean, there is a debate about just going for the 4.0, but apparently there's a bit of a shoulder injury that he's going through. So I would probably say it's a bit easier to upgrade Kinski. But if you don't, I mean, maybe that's a fun way to play. So Van der Ven is okay. I just don't really know about Van der Ven. I've seen him in a lot of people's drafts, but I don't really get the hype around him. I think it's that Burnley at home game, if I'm honest with you. I think Burnley at home, people are thinking it's a banked clean sheet, and I might agree with you. But then after that, I don't really think the fixtures are that fantastic. I think what people are also kind of saying is that with Thomas Frank as manager, maybe these Spurs centre-backs are going to replicate the form that we saw with the Brentford centre-backs, like a Collins and those sort of plays where they had super high DEFCON sort of averages per game. So I can kind of get that, but I mean, I think there are the 4.5s that I do prefer over Van der Ven. I like Munoz. He's my favorite sort of attacking defender. Milinkovic is fine. Between him and Murillo, it's if you prefer DEFCON or if you prefer attacking threat, basically. So I think in terms of Rodrigo, if you do like these sort of DEFCON midfielders, I think Declan Rice is okay. I also think that if you want to look at McAllister, he's fine. Otherwise, Enzo, Caicedo from Chelsea, both those two players. Obviously, Enzo a bit more attacking threat. I think, though, at the moment, let's just sub in someone like an Ndai for you. This could be Saar. This could be any 6.5. There's a lot of good value 6.5s. I see what you've done here. You've actually opted for no Palmer, and that has allowed you to get Haaland, as well as a bit of a cheaper defense. So with that sort of budget in the bank, I've now used it. You've got 0 with Ndai, but if you wanted to go for like a Caicedo as well, that would save you that 1 extra mil, and then you could upgrade some of these other departments, which I think I might be more of a fan of. So let's just put in Caicedo for you, and then you can just upgrade Goodmanson, and let's just say this becomes Wan-Bissaka. It could be anyone. And then if you want to upgrade your goalkeeper to a 4.5, you can as well. So with this selection, I think it's okay. I think you're still getting some good defenders. You're getting Haaland and Salah. I will not lie to you. I didn't think the team would look this good with Haaland and Salah in the team. Because, I mean, you still were able to afford a Bowen. You still were able to afford a Florian Wirtz. So the team does look pretty strong, just no premium defender, which you can get away with these DEFCON contributions. I do apologize. I don't really know what it did here. It sort of just kind of took it away a bit. So let me just refresh and see. So let's just reset the team. And now we're going to be going over FPL Victorious Secret. Let's see if your draft or how your draft is looking. Let me just make sure that it was the right team again. sorry, as mentioned, this isn't me, guys. I'm not kind of making these changes. So it's Sanchez, Dubravka, that's fine. You just don't have, so it's Van Dijk, Van de Ven, Munoz, Neco Williams, that looks okay. It's not Bernardo, it is Rodgers. So I don't know why, but it seems like the algorithm does not like Rodgers in these drafts. Okay, the rest of the team looks pretty nailed. Let's save the plan. Let's do some subs. Unfortunately, Mark Gay is going to be out of here. You've kept Esteve on the bench and then Virgil instead of Munoz. Okay, so what I might say here is that because Strand Larsen has Man City, I guess it is Man City, they could concede. He has looked pretty good at 6.5. You could always just play Munoz over, but because you've got Palmer, probably hoping he scores. So once again, another Van de Ven, 4.5. So a lot of hype for the, not a lot of hype, but a lot of inclusions for the 4.5 Spurs defender. Overall, not too many problems. As mentioned, Neco Williams, just watch out for him with those new signings. Sanchez as well, he's my favorite goalkeeper, but does that change with the Cole injury? Your midfield apartment looks pretty good. Yet another Gakpo selector. So maybe Gakpo has more kind of ownership than I'm expecting. Maybe he has more kind of pull factor. Let's see how he performs tomorrow, because he definitely will be in my mind, but I think it always comes down to sort of talisman ability, and I think in that Liverpool squad, I don't see Gakpo as a talisman, but he still could kind of rack up those FPL points, especially if he gets good expected minutes. Strand Larsen, he seems like he's the most popular 6.5 amongst the engaged managers. I do like him, sort of more of a talisman. If he's on penalties, could be gold. I mean, Dai, also like the look of Rodgers' injury, just watch out for that one. But overall, I do like the team structure. I think a lot of people are kind of going for a little bit more of a cheaper defense, not sort of going for Virgil, Gabriel, and sort of Guardiola. And that's giving you some really strong midfield apartments. I will probably say, though, I know this sounds ridiculous, but I do kind of feel like one of these DEFCON midfielders could be worth their value. An Anderson, a Caicedo at 5.5. Don't miss out on that price bracket because you think there's sort of more attacking options. I do kind of feel like those assets could be some of the best value options in the game. And I'm not even sort of hyping them up or overrating them. I generally think if you look at the numbers, they could be great value. So maybe consider having that price spot in the midfield apartment. And what that could allow you to do maybe is if you take Rodgers or Ndiaye, you can upgrade maybe a Strand Larsen to a better striker if you feel like there is one, but or Gakpo to a Florian Wirtz, but Gakpo might get more points than him. But that's just something to think about when you are looking at these selections, because most of these drafts, the structure and the foundation does look good. It's just these final choices that you guys can make to maybe vary your drafts a little bit. But I do like Gakpo, definitely differential. Just checking chat quickly again. Yeah, so a lot of you are saying in chat, okay, let's see if we can... okay, so Joe, you said you posted it on the Rate My Team. Let me go and see. Okay, cool. Thanks, Joe. Let me get that one. I got Joe and Jim. Okay, so let me just save these with your guys' names. Joe. And then let's go to Jim. Okay, Jim, you've pasted a nice screenshot from your computer. So let's hope that this algorithm picks it up pretty nicely. So let's just rotate. Let's go over Joe's team first here. Just making sure that we are getting every single selection. So you got Verbruggen and you've got Kelleher. Okay, so Joe, just let me know, are you... let me know if you're bench boosting. Because your team does look pretty stacked. Okay, I can see why your team is stacked. You said that you're going for no Haaland and no Salah. Okay, so you're doing the FPL General strategy. If you guys haven't seen, FPL General over on Twitter is doing a no Salah Haaland season. I'm all for it. I think there's different ways to win FPL. I mean, I think the person that wins FPL won't be template. Maybe they will be, but some variation could definitely be there. I do like the team. Okay, so I think it's actually managed to... even though you don't have Salah and Haaland, it hasn't rejected the draft. So the algorithm at least thinks it is valid. I'm just trying to check your subs here. So you do have Mbeumo on the bench. De Keeper is on the starting 11 and you've benched. You do have a Dogi and you've got Konza instead of Chris Wood. Okay, I think this is your team. Yeah, Neco Williams, Mbumo Konza, and then Kelleher. Okay, so the reason I asked, are you bench boosting? Let me just check. Joe. So just reply. What game week are you thinking about bench boosting? That's what I'd probably say. What's your quick thoughts on Madueke? I don't know about Madueke. Okay, so Joe, you're not planning to bench boost. I would maybe start thinking about it though, because if you're going to go without Salah and Haaland, maybe just, even if it's just taking this team a few game weeks on, just go for a little bit of a plan and see when you could bench boost, because this team is stacked. I mean, Mbumo on the bench looks crazy, and you've got a playing goalkeeper, you've got Neco Williams, Konza. I might pick a different 4.5 than Konza. I just don't see Konza as the best 4.5. And if you want to go check my defender review video, I'd recommend it. He's pretty far down the list. And also, I do have some concerns about Udogie, because he wasn't in the last Spurs squad, and that seemed like it was pretty first choice. So that's what I would just raise concerns about. In this draft, you need to nail guaranteed players, because it's already a risk with going without Salah and Haaland. So you need to kind of go for players that are safe guarantees. That's where I agree with you. Palmer's good. I would even look at Saka if you can. I know you've got Goikers here. Might not be the most nailed, but might be worth the risk. I don't mind taking a punt on him because there's hardly any forwards, but I would still try and get nailed options. Instead of Guardiola, maybe look at someone like a Virgil van Dijk, even an Arsenal defender. I just worry about his fitness at the start of the season. But otherwise, I mean, I can't really complain too much. It's just such an out there draft that I don't really know what to say on it, because you've kind of gone for the best players bar Salah and Haaland. Mbumo is interesting for me because when you do take away his penalties, is he that great of an 8.0 option? I feel like you have the money though, so you could take the punt. But it's just something to consider when you're looking at Cunha and Mbumo, because last season, these players were elite, but that's also because they were talisman. Are they going to be as much of a talisman at United as they were at their previous clubs? That's something that we're going to have to kind of assess and watch out for. So that's the only thing I would say. But I mean, I'm all for it. I think there's no losing strategy unless you guys are bringing in players that don't feature. So I like the strategy. Good luck with it. I don't think that I would do it if I was looking to maybe build a team. I think you might have enough money, but if you have your reasons for it, if it's going to make it more enjoyable, do enjoy it, Joe. Let's see if Jim has taken a similar strategy, or if he's also switched it around a bit. So let's just load up this draft. Jim, thanks for the screenshot. As mentioned, super high quality screenshot. And it seems like the algorithm has picked it up, except for we have Munetsi instead of, who is this? Anderson. Yeah, Anderson. Okay, so that is a really weird one. I don't know why it picked up that, but your forward department does look pretty fine. And then the rest of the players do look okay. So let's sub in, subbing out Anderson and bring on João Pedro. Palmer obviously should be nowhere near the bench. And sorry guys, I might be subbing players out and the CAMC changes, but just assume most CAMC is probably locked on Salah if they do own them. But overall, this team structure, once again, a Van der Ven owner. Where's this sort of Van der Ven hype come from? Has there been another content creator that's been pushing VDV, or maybe it's just because he has Burnley at home? So I understand that's a great fixture. I just, as mentioned, I don't know if Van der Ven's my favorite 4.5. Anderson is slightly better though, but the fixtures aren't as good for game week 1. Otherwise, the rest of the team looks pretty solid. I would say this midfield 5, it's basically between Son and Dai. But the rest of the midfield 5 looks pretty okay. I think it's template for a reason, because it's good. And up front, you've got Ollie Watkins, the nailed option, and then you've got a punt on João Pedro, who I think is pretty safe at the start. And then you've got Neco Williams, but as mentioned, just watch out. If they do sign Davis, there could be some rotation, but you can always sub him out for someone else. And Virgil, best premium in my opinion. Sanchez, good 5.0, but maybe here, as mentioned, you can go for Souls instead, and then go for a different defender than Neco Williams. And otherwise, I think the draft looks pretty good. I'm just trying to see if you could find money anywhere else. I think maybe João Pedro is where it's at. Is it worth downgrading João Pedro to someone like a Strand Larsen and then upgrading the others? I don't exactly know, but I think overall the team structure did look pretty good. So Joe is going for the no Haaland, and Palmer and Jim is going for a pretty nice draft in terms of templateness. So let's see who's going to win, Joe or Jim. The algorithm clearly favors that 5.0 flat. Maybe they know something I don't, because I haven't seen Munetsi in too many people's drafts, to be honest. Spurs rotated quite well with Palace and Arsenal. VDV is 4.5. That's why. Yeah, so there are other rotation pairs that I also do like. I think Anderson and Wan-Bissaka isn't the best. That's why I went for Wan-Bissaka and Richards or Gay. I think Crystal Palace also rotate quite nicely with them. I wish that we had some more context about United, because if a player like Odorgu's was nailed, he looks pretty good. But other than that, I don't really know if we have too much variation in them. Okay, let's see if we've got another draft. Okay, so we do also have one over on Discord. So let me just, it's from, is it Loy Sozi? Okay, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but let's go over your draft. Let's see what happens. It does look like it is going to be pretty interesting. Okay, so we're just going to have to assess this one again. Okay, so it's not Elliot. Okay, so you've gone for no Salah draft. You got for a Haaland draft. It's not Elliot. It is Ramsey. Okay, so he's still 5. No, it's Aaron Ramsey. Yeah, this one. Okay, so this draft does look okay now. Virgil Kirkes, Van der Ven. It's not Bradley, it's Murillo. Okay, now we're just going to have to find 0.5. Am I seeing something that's... Okay, this is wrong as well. Just give me a second here, guys. Cool. Okay, does that team look fine? Do you have 0.5 in the bank? Is that correct? Am I being correct in that assessment there? You can just let me know. And then obvious subs, it's Guardiola out, who's on the bench. Murillo's on the bench. Then Marlon's in instead of Aaron Ramsey. And then we have Haaland instead of Mark Guay. Okay. So 4-4-2, Virgil Kirkes. Liverpool do have, I think, the highest projected clean sheets for the opening game week. So I do like that. I think Kirkes is definitely more nailed than Frimpong is, but Bradley is currently injured. So Frimpong actually could be nailed for the start of the season. Once again, we have Van der Ven. Van der Ven and Murillo rotate. I guess that's okay. Guardiola, once again, he is classified as not being fit for the start of the season, but we might get more updates from Guardiola in game week 1. No Salah's the bigger mission here, but you have gone for Haaland, and you've also got the Kamsi armband on him, so let's just put there. And you've got Wirtz to cover Salah. So can Wirtz cover Salah? I don't exactly know. I guess time will tell. But otherwise, Marlon, at 5.5, I think there might be more nailed selections that might be slightly safer. Now, I agree with you. If he starts, he looks good. Even if he comes off the bench, there could be the odd attacking return. But I would probably save my 5.5 for a more nailed player, and then you can go for defensive contributions. So I would say Anderson here is almost like a natural replacement. I don't want to kind of overhype Anderson too much, or Caicedo if you want a different flavor. But I think both those two players might, over the long run, be more reliable than Marlon is. And also there's been some new signings for Aston Villa as well. Up front, Thiago, all I saw was FPL managers on Twitter saying how bad Brentford looked yesterday. So just keep that in mind. But they do play today as well against the same opposition as yesterday. But the team might vary slightly. So just watch out for that one. But apparently he didn't look too good. And also for me, it's a wait and see. I agree that he's a 6.0. If he's starting and Visa leaves, then he does look fine. But Brentford have also lost a few players. And they also have a new manager. So I don't exactly know how they're going to play. Between Salah and Haaland, I obviously do prefer Salah, but I think if you want to take the punt on Haaland, that's fine. He has great fixtures. Man City have looked okay in preseason, and I think that the rest of the team does look pretty good. I mean, if you're not going to go for Salah, I think you're definitely going to go for Wirtz. And can, I guess, Wirtz, Kirkes, and Virgil cover Salah? Who kind of knows? But yeah, just be aware of these kind of pain points here. I I do like the fact that you're probably just going to play Murillo most weeks, bench Van der Ven most other weeks. So if you do have a nice rotation pair with those two, that could be pretty strong. But otherwise, just watch out for these kind of less nailed positions and potential injury news that's going to be coming up. So people are just talking about double chips. So yes, if you guys don't know, there are double chips this season. So please don't forget that. And we're going to see. Okay, so I think it's probably going to be the last draft that I do. And this is going to be a pretty interesting one. It's going to be from Fletch, who you would have seen in chat. So let's go over your draft, Fletch. I do apologize, guys. We can't go through everyone's drafts. And I also want to make this short enough so that people can watch it on replay. But I have spoken about, generally, it seems like there's a lot of players that are similar in most people's teams. So we will obviously be discussing a lot more talking points in upcoming live streams. So make sure that those notifications are on for when we do go live. But I will be covering loads of content from now till Game Week 1's deadline. So you guys don't have to worry. You can always reach out to me on Discord or Twitter. I'm going to be more active. I haven't been as active as I usually am because of work this last week. It was absolutely stacked. But this upcoming week, I'm going to dedicate some time to reply to Discord messages, that sort of thing. So join the Discord. It's a bit easier for me to reply to you there. The link is in the pinned comment. So just watch out for that one. Okay, so this hasn't done the best. Okay, it actually maybe has. It's got 0.0 in the bank. And you've got Bowen, Watkins, João Pedro. You've got Palmer. Okay, and then your defense is absolutely stacked. I can back that. Save the plan. Let's go on to the team. And we're going to take out Potts and we're going to take out King. So the only thing that I would argue here, Fletch, is that is a 7.5 or an 8 mil forward better value than an 8 or 7.5 midfield, or even cheaper? And that's the only thing that I would raise caution about, is that because now you're not only comparing sort of apples to apples, because you have to play 3 forwards. You don't have to play 3 forwards. You can just play 2 or 1. So now you have to compare the exact sort of oranges to apples comparison and decide which one's better for your team. So I like the defensive department. What you have said here, Fletch, is you've said, I back the DEFCON points that these players are going to be getting. I'm going to be going all in on this new strategy, which I don't think is that bad. I think the defenders are going to hold massive value. It just depends if you can stick with this for the long term, because I think you almost have to play these players every single week to see that value, because in the easier games, they might not be getting that defensive contribution, but against a Man City or Liverpool, even if they do concede 2 goals, they might up their average to 3 or 4. So just remember that, and you're going to have some diamond hands to keep these players, because if this goes wrong and there's no clean sheets, you might be looking a bit like an early wild card. So I do like it though. It's different. It's kind of putting all your eggs in one basket in the DEFCON bonus points, and you still have a Salah, you still have a Palmer. The only thing as mentioned is if you could downgrade a João Pedro and then afford an Anderson or a 6.5 in Dai or a Saar, they could actually be better value over the long run than someone like a João Pedro or a Jared Bowen. That's just something to put forward to you. And I would say just maybe consider that. And don't be scared of just playing Ollie Watkins up front if you think he's the only viable striker. Because what you do have on your bench is you've got Potts, you've got Aaron Ramsey, and you've got King. And I don't think many of these players are actually featuring that much. I think King has featured a bit in preseason, but I don't think the other two have. But you guys can correct me if I'm wrong there. But at least then you have some bench coverage if things do go wrong. So just consider that. But Fletch, I do like it. Hopefully you watched the defensive review video and this has kind of inspired you to do this, because all those players were mentioned in there for having outstanding averages when we do consider those defensive contribution bonus points. So I think that's actually a nice little draft to end with. 100% I think I was going to consider taking out of another player just for safety. Okay, cool. That is true, Fletch. That's what I would probably do, the least I would do. Which player to downgrade is a bit tough there. I think that might lead you to question some other positions. Maybe a simple one is Sanchez if there's a 4.5 that looks okay. I would say that's probably the easiest way to get a 0.5. Otherwise, what I would say is I do prefer a better midfield than having this stacked forward department, as Floyd is saying in chat. I do think the midfielders hold better value with the clean sheet points, that sort of thing. It would be João Pedro if I think Rodgers is fit. Okay, that is true. That looks like a a good sort of compromise on those points expectations. So Fletch, thanks for that draft. I do appreciate it. But as I mentioned, guys, I think this was going to be the last one that we did. I do appreciate you guys joining me. If you're watching this on the replay, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're new. Tons of content coming up, so make sure those notifications are on. But for the time being, I'm going to be signing off. Get hyped for Game Week 1. I'll see you guys on Friday for another live stream. Otherwise, for all the videos coming up this midweek. But for the time being, I'm signing off with Davey FPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.